Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be giving you a gameplay overview of the Windwalker monk in World of Warcraft Legion. This is mainly going to be covering their raw gameplay. So will I be talking specifically about the super specific raid stuff? No, this is mainly about, is the spec fun? How is it different from live? And mainly, is the core rotation something that fundamentally is sound? So to do that, we're going to be first going through the core rotation, then I'll go through all of the abilities, then all of the talents, then the artifact weapon and its traits and its various things, and then we'll wrap it up into a kind of complete package. So to give you an idea of the core abilities, we start off with Tiger Palm. This is a simple attack, 50 energy, light damage, gives you 2 chi, and has an 8% chance to make your next blackout kick no chi. You will notice that there's no buffs or debuffs or anything active with this. It's a far more simple ability. Next, Blackout Kick. It costs 1 chi, it does 16,000 damage, and nothing else. There is really not that much special about it. Next, we've got Rising Sun Kick, 2 chi, you do a kick, does like 40,000 damage, so pretty damn high, and reduces the effectiveness of healing on the target for 10 seconds. We then move on to Fists of Fury, costs 3 chi, you pummel all targets in front of you, doing a lot of damage over around 3.5 seconds. And damage is reduced to the other targets, and it can be channeled while moving, and it no longer stuns things. And then moving on, we do have Spinning Dragon Kick and Strike of the Skylord. They will come into play a little bit more. Tiger Eye Brew is very different. So it's now a cooldown. You consume Tiger Eye Brew, gaining 30% increased damage and healing for 15 seconds. The old thing where you generated Tiger Eye Brew by fighting and then spent it, in the way that it used to be in, say, Mop and Wad, is no longer the case. Now, a very big change as well, and this is where a bit more depth comes in, is their mastery, which is combo strikes. So abilities deal 18% more damage when they are not a repeat of the previous ability. So as an example, if I, say, have 100 energy here, and I do 2 Tiger Palms and 2 Blackout Kicks, or two Tiger Palms and then 4 Blackout Kicks, that would be a very silly waste of damage. Instead, what they want us to be doing is weaving in and out of our abilities, ensuring that we don't repeat the same one twice. So let's just run up to a target dummy here. I right click to start attacking, and I think there are some new animations, or at least some things seem a little bit more punchy. But anyway, let's use Jab. So there you go, I've used Jab, got 2 chi, lovely. Then we do Rising Sun Kick, then we do that, then Rising Sun Kick, another Jab, Fists of Fury, and basically we're in this sort of rotation where it's all about how we weave in and out of our attacks. Now we can see quickly here that I've actually ran into a period of decently significant downtime. Of course, if you're still generating energy and you've not maxed out your chi, then it's not really a problem to have downtime, but it certainly is downtime in the gameplay. Now that's just from the very base rotation. There is pretty much, I don't want to say there's no downtime, but there's basically no downtime when you actually take some of the other abilities into account. Now these abilities currently are Spinning Dragon Kick. This is an ability that you can do when Fists of Fury and Rising Sun Kick are on cooldown, and then Strike of the Skylord, which is your artifact weapon ability, which basically is just a powerful attack that you can do once every 40 seconds that costs 3 chi. So if I run up to a target, we, Tiger Palm it, we then just, get rid of Rising Sun, move on to do Fists of Fury. We can now walk around with Fists of Fury, and essentially we're weaving things, we're making sure we're always generating energy, and we're making sure we're using a different ability every single time. If we've got the 2 of those on cooldown, we use Spinning Dragon Kick, and whenever we can, we ensure that we use Strike of the Skylord, and essentially that's how it plays. You kind of find your fingers dancing around the keyboard because, ideally, you're never hitting the same button twice with this spec, and if you do get a bit of downtime, you could always do, say, Chi Wave, or something like that to give you a different ability to hit, so that you're still getting the benefit of your mastery. Overall, I actually really like this. Now, undoubtedly, I think it is a lot more easy to play than the system that was going on with Tiger Eye Brew. I think there was a lot of depth in Tiger Eye Brew, and I think that was definitely quite fun, and you could use it well, yes, but I'm not convinced that it was the overall, best game design ever. It was maybe a little bit convoluted at times, and I think this does actually fit the fantasy pretty well, and from my limited playtesting, it has been quite fun. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the full set of abilities. So then, Blackout Kick, I've already explained it, it's pretty simple. I'll cover talents separately. We've got Crackling Jade Lightning, just does damage over time, and sometimes knockbacks melee attackers. We've got Disable, which reduces speed. Fists of Fury, which is what it is. Flying Serpent Kick, pretty much the same as it used to be. Zhuen is a talent, as I think it was last time. Paralysis is what it is. Rising Sun Kick, again, pretty similar thing. Spear Hand Strike is our interrupt. We've got Spinning Crane Kick. This costs 1 chi, does a bunch of damage over 1 point something seconds. So it's your AoE. We've got Spinning Dragon Strike, which is one of my talents. Storm, Earth, and Fire, which I believe they have changed so that it is quite a bit more... Basically, you hit the button and it kind of does its own thing rather than requiring a lot of management. Tiger Palm, which is basically just your basic generator. Tiger Palm, which is basically your generator, and it doesn't give you any sort of buff like it does currently. Jab is gone, so basically they've been merged into being the same thing. Tiger Eye Brew, which is now a far more standard cooldown. Now, Touch of Death is pretty different, so you do mortal damage to an enemy. Basically, you do very high damage, and after 8 seconds, the target will take damage equal to your health. Now, I think the way that this works, though, is it's on a 2-minute cooldown, so it's no longer your kind of execute. It's basically just the DPS cooldown now. We've got Touch of Karma, which basically redirects damage that is applied to you back to your enemies. We've then got Transcendence, which I believe is the exact same as it currently is. We then got Vivify. Now, you'll notice Expel Harm is gone, and Vivify is your heal. So this does a heal to your target and their 2 nearest allies, but right now it's stupidly weak. It costs 20 energy and heals for less than 1% of a health bar, which makes no sense. Then there's Zen Pilgrimage, which takes us to our class order hall. And then as far as the passive effects goes, there's nothing really that important other than combo strikes, which is very much key to how this spec is going to play. And certainly a player who doesn't use combo strikes correctly is, well, they're going to be doing like 20% probably more less damage. Let's have a look at the various different talents. So we've got Chi Burst. This hurls a torrent of chi towards the target up to 40 yards, dealing some damage and healing the monk and their allies. I think it looks very cool, which is kind of why I took it. Then there's Eye of the Tiger. So Tiger Palm applies Eye of the Tiger, dealing nature damage to the enemy and healing to the monk over 8 seconds. Essentially, this gives you a dot/hot component back to your Tiger Palm, which means that will be a little bit more important in terms of how you use it right. Though I imagine that would pretty much passively keep itself up because you'll always be using your Tiger Palms. And then we have Chi Wave. This is 15-second cooldown, instant, a wave of chi energy flows out, bounces around the place, deals damage to enemies, heals you up all within 25 yards. I'm pretty sure that's the same as it is currently. Now next we go on to the level 30 talents. Roll is pretty different, so I'll just go to do a roll here, and as you can see, no speed boost afterwards, no nothing. They've changed it up a little bit, so now the version of roll that gives you a speed boost is called Chi Torpedo. You go like this. Pretty sure that's a new thing, and just like previously, you can stack up their movement increasing effects. We've then got Tiger's Lust. This will increase your movement speed by 70% for 6 seconds and remove all roots and snares. And then Celerity, which reduces the cooldown of roll by 5 seconds and increases its maximum number of charges by 1. Moving on to the 45 tier, we've got Energizing Elixir. You chug an elixir and instantly refill all of your energy and all of your chi. We then have Ascension, so this increases your maximum chi by 1 and energy regeneration by 15. I wanted to feel a little bit faster, therefore I went with Ascension. And then there's Power Strikes. Every 15 seconds, your next Tiger Palm generates 1 additional chi. Next, we've got Ring of Peace. This will form a ring of peace around a friendly target for 8 seconds. Enemies in that ring who do a harmful spell or ability get knocked out of the ring, so basically it protects one of your allies. Then we have Dizzying Kicks. Blackout Kick will snare the target by 70% for 3 seconds, nice and simple. And then there's Leg Sweep, which pretty much is similar to now, where it just knocks down enemies, stunning them for 5 seconds. On the 75 tier, we've got Healing Elixirs. Heals you for 15% of your maximum health when a damaging attack brings you below 35% health, or when you drink a brew or tea while injured, and the effect can only happen once every 18 seconds. Then there's Diffuse Magic, so this reduces magic damage taken by 90% for 6 seconds, and transfers all harmful magical effects back to their original caster, if possible. I imagine that's the kind of thing that maybe that would work in PvP, but perhaps in raids, not so much. And then there's Dampen Harm, reduces damage by 50% from the next 3 attacks that damage you for 15% or more of your maximum health, and you can cast that while you're stunned, which is very useful. On the 90 tier, Rushing Jade Wind. This costs 1 chi. You summon a whirling tornado around you, causing a whole bunch of damage over 5 seconds to enemies within 8 yards. We've then got Zhuan, so you pop that, Zhuan appears, fights for you, seems to be the same as it is now. And then we've got a passive called Hit Combo. Each successive attack that triggers combo strikes in a row gives you 1% increased damage, stacking up to 10 times. I really like the idea of that, because, well, it rewards you for playing within your mastery, which obviously is a very good thing. And of course, a good player will have this 100% stacked up to 10 times all of the time. At 100, we've got Chi Orbit. Every 5 seconds, a orb of energy basically rotates around you until it impacts something and you get a maximum of 4 orbs. If I apply this, orbs should start rolling around me pretty soon. Actually, doesn't look like they are, so I'm just going to head into combat here and that should trigger them. Yeah, there you go. So you can see this orb, and then when the orb actually hits the training dummy, it will disappear again. The Spinning Dragon Kick, that's the ability you saw me use there that basically does a really large amount of damage to all enemies around you, but is only usable when Fists of Fury or Rising Sun Kick are on cooldown. What's nice is it doesn't cost any energy or chi, so it's basically just a free button to hit every 20 seconds that helps you keep your combos going. And then we finally got Serenity. You enter a elevated state of mental and physical serenity for 10 seconds. You do 30% more damage and healing, and all chi consumers are free and have half of their normal cooldown. This actually replaces Tiger Eye Brew, which is quite a bit different to how, well, a little bit different to how Serenity works right now. Obviously, the current Serenity and Tiger Eye Brew, they're very different things, whereas right now, Tiger Eye Brew has been changed to the state where it's actually just another cooldown. So let's have a look at our artifact weapon. Its passive is that whenever you Tiger Palm, the Fist of the Heavens have a chance to infuse you with the power of the wind, increasing your movement speed and attack speed by 70% for 8 seconds. Basically, there's a chance of you doing crazy fast attacks and running really quickly. With that covered, let's go around the rest of the artifact tree. So then, Death Art. Killing an enemy with Touch of Death reduces its cooldown by 25% per point, so that will be up to 75. Acrobatics roll has 1 extra charge. I assume that would also apply to Chi Torpedo, meaning that you would be able to get a 90% run speed buff at the end if you chain them all up correctly. We've then got Strength of Zhuan, increases the duration of Tiger Eye Brew by 1 second per charge. And that is actually not per charge, per point that you put into this trait. Then Crosswinds. Whenever you use Fists of Fury, you frequently project an image of yourself to crash into one of the targets you are hitting. I assume that does damage. We need a better tooltip. Power of 1,000 Cranes increases the damage of Spinning Crane Kick by 3% per point. Inner Peace increases maximum energy by 10 per point. Dark Skies increases Blackout Kick damage by 3%. Transfer Power, each Blackout Kick and Rising Sun Kick increases the damage of your next Fist of Fury by 5%, stacks up to 0 times. We'll need to find out how much that stacks, but that will change our Fist of Fury usage somewhat. At least I think it will. It, again, depends on how it's tuned. We've then got Healing Winds. Whenever you use Transcendence Transfer, you heal yourself by 10% of your maximum health every second for 6 seconds, so that's actually quite the big self-heal. We've then got Gale Burst. 10% of all damage dealt to a target with your Touch of Death on them will be added to the damage of the Touch of Death. That seems to include other people's attacks based on that text, but because the text here is generally quite ambiguous, I assume that just means that it adds up the rest of your own damage. I suppose that would mean that ideally you'd want to be using Touch of Death while there are other big cooldowns going on so that the rest of your abilities contribute even more to this effect. And then we have Rising Winds, which increases Rising Sun Kick damage by 3% per point that you put in. So Light on your feet increases your chance to dodge by 3% per point, and Fists of the Wind increases the damage of Fists of Fury by 3% per point, which leads us on to Tornado Kick. Rising Sun Kick now strikes a second time for 100% additional damage. That's just free damage with no gameplay. I'm not really sure what I think about that. And then finally, Good Karma, which means the damage taken while Touch of Karma is active will actually heal you. Basically, you know, you'll be running in, you'll be doing your Tiger Palm, you'll be doing Rising Sun Kick, then you'll be hitting into your Fist of Fury, and then probably a Spinning Dragon Kick using another, Chi generator, and that pretty much gets us into this roll here. Cannot forget, of course, to do Strike of the Skylord. Sometimes I end up forgetting that thing exists, but of course proper buff tracking, or cooldown tracking will pretty much resolve that problem. And right now we just want to ensure that we're staying at a high hit combo here, so let's just ensure that we manage to do that. Eventually I should get that up to 10 stacks completely, and it should stay there. I don't think there's any valid reason why it should drop, honestly. Unless, of course, I make a mistake, which is absolutely possible and hell, might even be probable. Anyway, I actually think this is a pretty fun spec. It's maybe a bit less... I'd definitely say it's less hardcore now than it maybe used to be, and I know a lot of people won't be particularly happy about that. I think some of the talents are really good for it. I think the gameplay itself is actually quite good, and I do like how this hit combo system is something that, like, it full-on does punish people who don't pay attention to the spec's mechanics. Like, you just will flat out deal significantly less damage, even if you were using all of these things on cooldown. If you're doing the actions in between that, in the wrong order, you're going to have significantly different results to somebody who is doing things in the right order. So I think that should be a successful enough design overall. What we really need to see, though, is how fast this spec is actually going to ramp up. Making the correct decision every single time is going to be a little bit harder when this spec is faster, and of course it will get faster as we get more haste, as gear improves, and, you know, all the usual stuff that contributes to that. Oh, it looks like I actually managed to drop my hit combo there. That was kind of silly of me. But yeah, essentially, we need to check out what the gameplay is like at the endgame, but for a spec that's just running around in the world, I think this is going to be pretty nice. And one thing about the old Tiger Eye Brew system that really did grind my gears somewhat is when you're out just running around the world killing regular mobs, that is definitely a time where I did not enjoy Tiger Eye Brew whatsoever as a mechanic. I just wanted to be doing like my regular uptime DPS when I was fighting things. I didn't want it to be tied to the Tiger Eye cooldown. So I suppose this could be a benefit overall. I'm very interested to hear what the raiding Mistwalker or Mistweaver monks have to think about this spec. Because while it's not like it's a fundamentally redesigned spec, but it really is quite different in terms of how it plays. Anyway, there are my thoughts on this topic. I'm really interested to see what you guys think, so leave your opinions down in the comments. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.